Growth can lead to inequalities, so the tricky part is to ensure that growth is sustainable and inclusive. This is particularly important as Sri Lanka emerges out of a prolonged conflict and aspirations for a better future are high. The most recent available data suggests that while poverty reduction has been accompanied by improvements in bridging inequities, socioeconomic disparities still persist among regions and population groups in the country. While Sri Lanka has seen a reduction in inequality for the most part, over half of all income is still received by the richest 20% of households. Part of ensuring growth is inclusive is ensuring that no sectors are left behind. Agriculture is a sector that has been neglected for decades. Although agriculture is the main source of income of the rural population, it contributes to just 11% of national output. For a sector that utilizes 33% of the country's labor and 30% of land, there is a growing call for improving agricultural performance, particularly by focusing on raising productivity, by better use of unutilized land, finding new technology and better inputs, and diversifying the agricultural sector. Meanwhile, environmental concerns must be dealt with simultaneously. Agricultural intensification can pose several challenges. It can generate environmental problems such as reducing biodiversity, mismanaging irrigation water, agrochemical pollution, and land degradation. In general, agriculture and environment agendas are inseparable. Degradation of natural resources undermines the basis for agricultural production and increases vulnerability to risk, imposing high economic losses. Several parts of the country are affected by the evidence of rapid climate change, which is another aspect that the agriculture sector needs to take into consideration. Similarly, the country's main provider of protein, the fishery sector, contributes to a relatively small proportion to the GDP, just 1.3%. This is evidence of the severe underutilization of available resources. Since the end of the conflict in 2009, the fishery sector has access to a territorial sea of 21,500 square kilometers and an exclusive economic zone of 517,000 square kilometers. In order to increase and sustain the fisheries sector's contribution to economic growth, adequate attention has to be paid to issues which hamper increased utilization and sustainability of the country's fishery resources.